really exciting announcement just this morning about a new feature called Co-Creator. So I'll be doing a live demo of that here during this webinar as well. So welcome everyone in the chat. If you would, let me know where you're watching from and tuning in live in the chat. I'll be looking there, and that's where also questions, you can leave them there throughout at any point, and I'll be answering them as we go through the demo and also do a dedicated Q&A session at the end, but leave them here and would love to answer those as we go as well. Hey, Jason from Connecticut, Sapna from Virginia. Awesome to see people around here in the U.S. So keep dropping those in the chat. Would love to hear from you. And I think we're going to jump right into our co-creator feature because it's brand new, just announced, and I think it's going to blow your mind, honestly. So I'm excited for it. Natalia from Buenos Aires, hello there. Caitlin from Rotterdam, the Netherlands. Also, we have an international webinar today. And Greg from Calgary, Canada. Wonderful. And also those watching on YouTube as well. Hello from India. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and let's jump in and show Co-Creator first, and then we will go into all the amazing tools for recording and live streaming and editing as well. So let me know if you could see my screen here in the chat. Want to make sure that everyone is able to see everything. And we're going to jump into the Co-Creator. So this is the Riverside Dashboard. And if you've never logged into Riverside, if you just created an account, you typically land here on the home page. And here on the home tab, this is where you can jump in to start recording content, jump into edit previous, and we're going to go over both of those in a moment. You can, of course, start a live stream, plan a future session, and even upload content that maybe you recorded on your phone, but you want to transcribe and make into clips. I'm going to go down to the projects page, and typically every time you record something new or maybe a new episode for your podcast, then you will see those as a new project, and you'll see all my projects are here. And again, let me know if you can make sure you see the screen and hear okay. Just want to make sure that everyone is good there. So I'm going to jump into a previous episode here. Let's go to this episode of my podcast. And you'll see right away Co-Creator was already open. But typically when you go to a specific project, you'll have a few tabs here. And I'll go over those tabs in a moment. But the really exciting part is the Co-Creator. And so when you click Ask Co-Creator now, in the top right corner of any project, you can now prompt it to write a title and description for your podcast, to create social media images to promote your episode. You can ask it to write an entire blog post based on your recording, and it all happens here in Riverside. So the first thing I would do is go down to suggestions, and here it's just showing you all the different things that Co-Creator can do for you, including title, description, show notes, create a newsletter email of your content based on your transcript, and more. So let's actually start with an episode title. I'm going to say, give me 5 options, and it automatically chooses 5 options for an episode title. And then I can even, from this drop-down menu, select one of the topics that Co-Creator sees from my recording. And this, because I recorded in Riverside, Co-Creator sees my transcript, sees the topics we talked about. So I can actually choose one of the topics that we talked about in the episode. I'll send this to Co-Creator, and now Co-Creator is going to come up with 5 titles, and it's going to give it just a few moments. Now I have 5 different ideas here, and I can even ask it for more ideas. So let's say I really liked one of these, let's see, Title 2. This was actually my favorite of those that were generated. Well, I'll click copy, and I can just ask Co-Creator, give me 5 more title ideas like this. Paste the last title, and then Co-Creator is going to give me 5 more title ideas, and I can see if I like those any better. And I already see some questions coming in for the chat. We'll get to those in a minute. Will it suggest social media tags and blog post tags as well? Yeah, you can ask it for that also. So once it gives me these 5 titles, and again, these are great title ideas as well. Let me go back into the suggestions. And actually, you know what? Let's actually start a prompt from scratch. So maybe I'll ask, give me a title, description, and tags for this episode. So let's say I want to upload this to YouTube, and YouTube wants that title, description, and even the tags. Well, I'll ask Co-Creator. It's thinking, it's going through the transcript, and then I can actually just pull those once it gives them to me. And the great part is you can even pick content from within this project. So let's say I was going to give it a prompt. I'm just giving it time to think right now. I can actually pick from an episode. I can pick a clip, or, if you did a long recording, maybe you recorded 2 episodes in one go, and then you exported episode 1 and episode 2. Well, I can choose one of my exports. So when I'm asking Co-Creator to come up with titles and descriptions, it's based on the export that I chose. But here we go. I asked for some tag ideas, a title and description, and Co-Creator gave it to me right here, and I can always ask it for more as well. But it can do all of that. Let me do one other thing here. I'll do suggestions. I'm going to ask it for a blog post, and I'm going to see what topic do we want it to be on. Let's go with AI, and I'm going to say give me a 500-word blog post about that topic. And again, I can pick the content that I want this to be based off of. So I'm going to pick the full-length episode that I exported. And I always type, here it is, episode 85, the full episode. So I gave it a prompt. I took one of the suggestions. I told it what piece or what export I wanted it to base this blog post on. And so it's going to take a few minutes to think, looking at that transcript, and then it's going to give me that 500-word blog post. Jason Black was saying, can you set a character limit for the descriptions? Yes, just like I asked it for a 500-word blog post, you can ask it for a specific character limit description if you would like. So absolutely, you can have those there. And look, here's my 500-word blog post, break down here with different headings, and right there, good to go. And one other thing, if you wanted to maybe make a thread post or maybe a LinkedIn post, I can just do that, choose the topic, and now it's going to create a LinkedIn post based on that topic as well. Greg was asking, when asking for a description, would it be optimized for YouTube keywords? So YouTube keywords, if there's really some main topics that you want it to focus on, you can tell it that. If you want it to just optimize in general for keywords, it changes all the time. What is trending on YouTube, what might be a popular topic. So I would ask it to include certain words, or if a topic was the big topic of the episode or a popular topic on YouTube, I would tell it to focus on those, and then Co-Creator can use that context as it's developing your blog post or your social media posts. And so here's my LinkedIn post too, based on this episode, and I'm good to go, and I can post that on LinkedIn. So there's again, Co-Creator is super powerful. It can also generate images. You can ask it for a promo trailer. And one of my favorite tips for something like this, ask it to create a promo trailer. This would be great to just use on social media, but then you can also use this trailer as an intro to the full-length episode. And I'm going to show you in the Riverside Editor in a few minutes how you can pull from other recordings and other exports and actually create an intro for your podcast. And one of the best ways to hook someone, especially with podcast episodes, a lot of times the first few minutes might not be super engaging. Create this trailer or this promo clip. Now I can preview it right here in Co-Creator, and then maybe I want to use this as the intro to the full-length episode. And so I can jump into the editor, but I'm actually going to add this to my project. So this promo clip that Co-Creator just made is going to be available to me in the editor, so I can use it as an intro. And TK Nguyen was saying, this is wild. Thank you. I think it is pretty wild too. I'm going to be using this a lot for my own content. All right. There's some great questions here about layouts and aspect ratios. And so I think let's actually start back from the beginning, talk about recording, going into the studio. Oh, and look, and there's a little Co-Creator announcement here in the pop-up. And then I'm going to answer some of these questions as we talk about layouts and things like that. So if you're new to Riverside, this demo, let's talk about recording. So when you're ready to record some content here, this is when you first log into Riverside, you see this on your dashboard. Let's just jump into record right here. Now, when you jump into record, you're going to see your video preview, and I'm actually going to hide myself here. I'm actually going to change the layout, and this way you don't see two of me. Oh, and Courtney's saying, I've been editing for years and Riverside is amazing. So intuitive. That's great to hear. Thanks for saying that. So when you're getting ready to record, this is the lobby screen. And this is where you're going to choose your camera, your microphone, your speaker, and whether or not you're using headphones. And this is the same screen that any remote guest or co-host will see when they're joining Riverside as well. So I've selected my camera here. I'll select my microphone here. And I'm actually going to use the same microphone I'm using now. And then for speaker, if you were using like a USB microphone, I would choose the same microphone as both the mic and speaker, because then you can hear your remote guest. You would plug your wired headphones into the USB mic. And then we do recommend using headphones. It could be AirPods or wireless headphones, ideally wired headphones, just because there's no latency of hearing your own voice. You don't have to worry about battery life, things like that. But the reason why we suggest using headphones is because if you don't, then your remote guest, your interview guest, or your co-host, their voice is going to be coming through your computer speakers, and it's going to get picked up by your mic, and that creates an echo effect. Riverside has echo cancellation, and we can remove that while you record, but that's why we recommend using headphones. So I'll select I am using headphones, and then I'm going to click Join Studio. Now you might see my lips are a little delayed because I'm sharing my screen. It's kind of like a video inception here. But this is the Riverside Studio, and this is where the magic happens. This is where you're going to record your content. This is where you can live stream. Jason Black was asking, what's the difference between host and producer functions? That's a great question. Producers is mainly used on our business platforms, but technically you can have someone log in with your account and join as a producer. Producers are not recorded. That's important to remember. A producer is not recorded, but you can invite a producer to help you with screen shares, with managing the chat, with playing things from the media board, and things like that. So it could be someone behind the scenes that helping with the technical aspects of your recording while you're hosting the show. So here we are in the studio. Again, if I wanted to invite a remote guest or co-host, I can copy this link, send it to them, and they'll join me here in the studio. I can also type in someone's email and send them an invite, and then they'll get an email from Riverside with all the information they need to join the recording. Now, here in the studio, there's a lot of tools to get you started and make visually engaging content. First is the People tab here on the right. This is going to show you when someone joins your studio, and for yourself, you can see what devices people are using for their camera and microphone. You can see their audio levels here, so everything looks good. And you can even do things like pause uploads, which we'll get to in a moment. Under that is the chat window, which many of you are using right now to actually interact with the webinar. And that's where you can have live chat, where you actually chats from YouTube and Twitch, if you're broadcasting there. Those comments are actually brought into this chat window, and you can send chats out. I'll show you. We'll talk more about live streaming in a second. You have the brand tool where you can have a custom background. You can add your logo, even colors if you have that Live Studio add-on package. The text tool is really powerful. Here I can actually show things on screen, like I've been showing some comments during this webinar. You can even, if someone's tuning in via Riverside audience mode, you can even link certain lower thirds. And so people can click literally while they're watching as an audience member and visit the website that you link in that text tool. The media board is really powerful. This is where you can upload video clips and you can play them, and they're recorded in high quality and they can be live streamed. And so here I have a clip uploaded. I can put it as live. And if I was live streaming, this clip would play to my live stream, but I also get a recording of this and any screen shares during my recording here in the studio. And that's the real magic of Riverside, is both your video and audio, your remote guests' video and audio, screen shares, media board files. Everything is recorded locally on your computer, and then that's uploaded so you can edit it and access it from the dashboard. So no internet blips or freezes are going to affect your quality of recording. Everything's going to look and sound pristine when you record with Riverside. Now, someone was asking about layout options, and that is important. Let me see. Who was asking about layouts? Courtney was asking about, when sharing your screen, what aspect ratio is recommended? I know there's lots of layouts. What ratio do you typically use? So one of the great tools for making visually engaging content here in Riverside is screen share. And you see that share button down here at the bottom. I can share my screen, and that includes an entire screen, or it includes just a window, like I'm actually sharing this window. That's what you're seeing right now. But I'm going to share an entire desktop. Hope you don't mind. I have a Superman wallpaper here. And so now I just shared my screen, and you'll see I'm in picture-in-picture here. Now, Courtney was asking what aspect ratio is best. Well, it does depend on how many people you have in the studio and what format you're going to use for the layout. So as you can see here on the right, under layout, you have a few options. And this is really for those streaming live using Riverside. You can do speaker full screen, which just shows either your screen share full screen or one person at a time. And that typically the best ratio would be 16:9, the full widescreen video. But you might also be using something like speaker split screen. Now, depending on how many people you have, they might be lined up here at the bottom. They might be over here on the side. And so I actually prefer something a little less widescreen, not 4:3, not like almost square, but in between that widescreen and square look, because that's going to fill the screen as much as possible. Now, you also have an option here under layout to fit, which means it's going to show the full 16:9 video from every person in the studio, plus your screen shares, or fill, which will zoom in on someone's face. And just to kind of show you the difference there, let me go to the grid view. Oh, you also have picture-in-picture, but I would need another guest in here to show you the grid view, and I don't want to mess anything up. So anyway, that's the layouts. I would typically do something in between the 16:9 and square aspect ratios. So you can share your screen down here. I do that all the time for my podcast. And the great part is when you go to the Riverside Editor, anytime you shared your screen or played a media board file, Riverside puts it all together for you. And then there's lots of layout options after the fact that you can use in the editor, which we're going to get to in a moment. And so I see Superman comments here. Any questions about the studio and recording before I touch on some live streams? Can producers play clips on live streams? Doug, that's correct. The producer has access to that media board and can play video and audio clips. And that's, again, one of the ways they can help with the technical aspects of the call. What is this amazing chat to lower thirds functionality you keep using? Is that something we have access to? Yes. So what I'm doing right now is showing comments that you guys are leaving in the chat live on screen. So you guys can see the questions and who asked it. And you can absolutely do that here in the studio when you're live streaming. And this is bringing in chat both from YouTube right now and Riverside. It also works with Twitch. And like Couples Connect was asking here, this is actually a comment from YouTube. Is there a subscribe button that we can display on the screen? Now, we don't have a subscribe button specifically, but I can create something. So I'm going to go to the text tool here, and let's create a lower third that says subscribe here with a little exclamation point. I can put a link then to my YouTube channel. So let's go YouTube/Riverside FM. And now when I save and show that on screen, people watching on the Riverside channel can actually click and they'll go to my YouTube channel and they'll subscribe. Now that clickable link only works with Riverside audience mode. It doesn't go to YouTube and Twitch. So just keep that in mind. But you can just show the raw URL if you want. But that's that text tool in there. TK is asking, so can we have more than 2 people for a podcast? Meaning, can we get 3 to 5 people to join together from different locations? Absolutely. You can have up to 10 people recording at the same time in a Riverside studio. I've hosted webinars with 5+ people, live streaming and recording, so you can absolutely do that many people. Caitlin was asking, can you chat about how to set up your phone on the side to capture nice professional-looking video footage from a different angle during the recording on the desktop? So I would actually recommend, if you wanted to capture a second angle, and we'll talk about this in the editor as well, download the Riverside app on your phone. This is on Android, iPhone, or iPad. And then join the studio that you're recording in from the Riverside app. And so I'm going to go into the Riverside app here on my phone, and we'll actually show you what this looks like in a moment. And then I can have a second angle that I'm recording at the same time. So I'm going to go in. This is the Riverside app here. I'm going to go into record in the app. You see here, I'm loading the studio right here. And you'll see that second angle just appeared. Now I'm going to mute my device here. And let me do the back camera. And so now I have basically a second angle. And right here, that's the back camera of my phone. And I can now record this second angle. And let's see, I might set it up over here, kind of give me this side look or maybe a wide shot. And you can actually use this as that third angle and they will be recorded in Riverside, and you can switch to this angle in the editor. So you can do it all in Riverside. It's going to keep all these angles in sync, and you can have multiple devices like this for that angle. I actually did this for an in-person podcast recording that I'll show you in a moment in the editor. But you can absolutely do that, add that second person right here. And now that I did add a second guest, like I was mentioning before, in that layout feature, if I wanted to show the full widescreen video of everyone in the studio, I can do the fit or the fill, which zooms in on a subject's face. Can you share a screen with audio on the Mac, as Zach was asking? Absolutely. When you share a tab on the Mac, you can include audio. So if I were to, for instance, let me go to YouTube right here, and let's say I was showing a clip here. Now, if I wanted to share my screen, I'll share my screen, I'll choose tab, and then you'll see also share tab audio. Toggle that on, and that will actually play the audio, and it will be recorded in Riverside as well. So absolutely, you can share audio. You do it by specifically sharing a tab. Now, let's see. The outsider was asking, is Riverside an audio only platform? No, it's video and audio. You can do video, obviously high quality video, or you can do just audio. I would recommend doing both. And that's what I do all the time. And then you can export both video and audio. And TK, so not just iPhone using the app, but with another camera. If you wanted to use something like a mirrorless camera for a secondary angle, I would recommend you would connect it to another laptop, and then they can join as a guest, and you can record that second angle. What about a second webcam instead of an iPhone to show a second angle? Great question from John. For that, again, you would want to connect that to another computer, or technically you could open a second browser. So let's say you have Google Chrome running your main camera in Riverside. Technically, you can also open Microsoft Edge and choose a different webcam as a different angle. Just be mindful of your computer's horsepower capabilities, because then you're asking it to process lots of video feeds at once. But these are great questions. Dan McCoy is watching somewhere in the air over Oregon. That's impressive. Okay, so one last thing here in the studio, and then we'll jump into the editor because there's awesome tools there as well. If you wanted to set up a live stream, you can do that right here in the Riverside studio. You can live stream for free, 720p. You can upgrade to get 1080p live streaming, but you can add multiple social destinations, including YouTube channels, Twitch. You can log into your LinkedIn account or page, your Facebook, or any custom RTMP destination. And yes, you can actually live stream to TikTok if you have a Windows PC and you have the TikTok Studio downloaded. So I can live stream to social there. You can also go live on Riverside, which is the audience mode I was talking about before. And the live stream tools really are excellent. I mean, we're using them right now. That's what you're watching, is a live stream directly from Riverside. I've used them for my podcast specifically. I'll show you here on my podcast. I'll go to the live tab. Every video that you see here was recorded and edited with Riverside, but this was a live stream from Riverside, and we did it to our YouTube channel. We did it to a page. We have the live chat here, managing it in Riverside. So the live stream tools in Riverside are excellent, and highly recommend. So that's the studio. And then when you're ready to hit record, of course, you would hit the big record button down here. Those high quality files will be uploaded as you go. And then when you're done, you can jump into the Riverside Editor. Let's see. Tyson was asking, how do you add sound effects to Reels? Well, that's a question about the editor. And so let's go to the editor next. So I'm going to leave this, pretend we recorded an amazing podcast episode. And Vix Little was asking, can we get a copy of this webinar? Absolutely. You're going to get a recording of it via email. It's also available on the Riverside webinars page. And I believe I have a lower third for that. Watch our webinars. Look at that. And you can actually click that link if you're watching on Riverside audience mode, and you can see all the past webinars there as well. All right, so back here in picture, looking at my projects here, let's talk about the editor and also the dashboard here in Riverside. So if I were to go to the latest episode of my podcast here, I'm going to collapse the co-creator for a second. The first tab you'll see is Made for You. So you get 4 tabs for all your projects: recordings, Made for You, edits, and exports. Made for You, you have a couple of options, a couple tools here. Magic Episode, which applies things like remove silences and remove filler words automatically to give you a big head start in your editing process. And you can even personalize that Magic Episode and tell it to apply my brand, remove pauses, and do those things by default as soon as you're done recording. So you don't have to check all those boxes manually every time. But I'll show you what all of those mean once we get into the editor. Depending on your plan, you get AI-generated show notes, including keywords. There was a question before about keywords for YouTube. You get that, summary, takeaways, sound bites, custom chapter markers, all of that in the AI-generated show notes. And then magic clips right here. And this is one of the best features. I use it literally for every episode of my podcast. I can go up to this create button. And you'll see here you have lots of options, including translating clips of your podcast into other languages, jump into the editor. But I'm going to generate some magic clips based on this episode, and Riverside is going to make some vertical videos that I can then go in and fine tune and edit, or just take them right as they come with animated captions and share those on social media. Those are going to be generated in a few moments, but while that's happening, if you wanted to access the full high quality versions of your video and audio, you can go over to the recordings tab, and here you can download the individual video and audio files for every guest. So you see here, that was my co-host, here's me, and I can download our individual files or any screen share. So if you do tutorial style content, you share your screen and you want to record it, you actually get high quality local recordings of all those screen shares as well. And then you can download them individually every time you shared your screen. Now, I know I see more questions about layouts, so we're going to get into that. Any drafts or edits you have, those are under the Edits tab. And every time you export a clip, which I'm going to show you how to do in a moment, you go over to the Exports tab, and all the exported clips, including your full-length episode, any vertical videos, magic clips, all of that will be under the Exports. Now, let's jump into the Riverside Editor, and I'm going to answer more of your questions and show you all the AI tools that help you edit it. And I edit every episode of my podcast in Riverside. I never edit it anywhere else because it's just so much faster. So I'm going to go up to Create, and let's jump into the Riverside Editor. Now here we have some, again, really powerful tools. So the first thing I do when I jump into the editor is we have a brand tool here on the right. And here you can customize your brand, choose a color palette, text styles, fonts, all of that. And I'm going to apply my brand. And so you'll actually see it add a little background image, rounded the corners of our videos, and we're good to go on brand that quickly. Then the next thing I do is I go to the AI producer. And the AI producer is where you're going to find all the tools that is going to save you so much time in your editing process. And I'll show you exactly what I do. When I edit my podcast, I remove pauses immediately. And it actually tells you how many pauses it removed and how much time was cut with those pauses. But the best part is you can actually have this slider here and tell it what kind of pace do you want. So when I'm doing a short form video like a TikTok or a reel, I'll have this slider all the way to the right because I want to remove any semblance of silence and get the fastest pace possible for those kinds of vertical reels. But for my full episode, I actually go right here, remove silences that are a second or more. And you actually see that adjustment here. Now 59 pauses were removed for 1 minute and 28 seconds savings. And so that's where I have my remove pauses feature when I do my podcast episodes. Now for remove filler words, you can apply that here. And the best part is this is actually a newer feature. And this is specifically to address Jason's question here. I found that with video editing that removes pauses, it makes the video kind of jumpy for the viewer. How do you correct for that? Well, I have an answer for you, Jason, because one, you can change the pace. So if you find that it's too jumpy, just lower the pace. You can go all the way down to here, and it's only going to remove pauses that are super long. So if you find it's too jumpy, move this slider farther to the left. But if you find it's jumpy when you remove filler words, you have a couple options. Here, you can choose to cut filler words, which might make it jumpy, especially if you have an interview guest that uses a lot of filler words like uhs or ums. So instead of doing that, you can mute the filler words. So you're not going to have that jumpy look, but your listeners and viewers don't have to hear all the filler words because they'll be muted. Now, I'm going to give you another tip in a second, but I would choose a different option if you're exporting the audio only version, like for your podcast host and RSS feeds. For that, I would cut them because there's no jumpiness to the audio version because they're listening. Or you can also choose the smart feature here for remove filler words, and Riverside will try and find the best balance to remove or mute those filler words, but not make it too jumpy. And so that's play around with those settings right there. Now next, find fluff. If you find that maybe there's a lot of rabbit trails and small talk in your podcast, Riverside will help identify that small talk and even recommend removing it. And that can help you make sure your content is valuable and focused on what you want. There's also Magic Audio, which uses AI to remove background noise, enhance audio. So if you had a guest that used like a built-in microphone or they just had their AirPods as their microphone, I would try applying Magic Audio, but you can also have this slider to make sure it doesn't sound too AI or too processed. So you can play around with that. I apply Smart Mute every time for my podcast. That mutes someone's track when they're not speaking. And so that just cleans up the audio even more. Smart Layouts, basically gives you a multicam look with a single click. So I just applied Smart Layouts, and I'm going to show you it actually now switches between me and my co-host based on whoever's speaking. We also have eye contact correction if you want to make sure you're always looking directly at the camera. And that's our AI producer features. Now that I applied those, I'm almost done editing my podcast. I might have to make some small tweaks here and there, which I'll show you how to edit via the transcript. But honestly, this has brought me a long way. Now, you'll see with that Smart Layouts feature, now throughout the episode, it's going to go between me and my co-host, and then it's going to focus on just one of us when someone is speaking by themselves. So you see it just switched to my co-host because it's focusing on him. And then in those in-between moments, maybe there's laughter, maybe there's crosstalk or a discussion, then it's going to go back to showing both of us on screen. So I have a multicam edit with that single button, Smart Layouts, here in Riverside. And I'm going to show you how to add even more layouts and scenes in just a moment. James was asking, is there an AI option to zoom in and out during editing? Stay tuned. Not just yet, but stay tuned. That's all I can say. Now, let's say you wanted to change the layout. And this is a new feature, is all the different layout options we have in Riverside. The first thing I'm going to do is create a new scene because you can have a new layout per scene. So over here, I'm going to add a scene using this tool here. And now for this new scene, I'm going to click Layout, and we have many, many different layout options, both for multiple people side by side, when you're sharing content, different multi-speaker layouts if you have 3, 4, 5. Look at all these different layout options, especially if you have a bunch of people. But let's say I just want to change it up where it's just the two of us on screen. Well, I'll go up and say, all right, here's the one-on-one layouts. Maybe I want the full 16:9 shown. Maybe I want kind of a picture-in-picture look. Well, I can do that too. And now because I added that new scene, it'll go from the side-by-side look to that new layout look right there in the editor. That quickly, you can add those new layouts. Now, I'm also going to go to a screen share. I don't know if you guys saw the bunnies on the trampoline video. That was actually AI. Spoiler if you didn't know. I'm going to add a new scene here. And for this layout, I'm going to go down to my sharing content layouts. And I really like this layout where it shows both of us kind of in this vertical window with the screen share behind us. And now I can go from just a screen share to showing both of us on screen. And apparently there was another little scene there that I missed. Here, let me do this one more time. Layout, show me that. It also shows recently used, very convenient. And now here's the two of us in those little vertical windows with the screen share behind us. And again, you can change the layout throughout the edit. And one of the nice features about the layout as well, I can just click in and change who is in what window. So you see I just swapped us back and forth. I could do that again, select who's in what position, and you can customize your layouts. And so you have lots of options there. Play around with the layout tool. Highly recommend as well. All right, any other questions on the editor, go ahead and drop them in the chat because we're nearing a full Q&A time. If you have questions on gear, USB microphones, audio interfaces, all of that, would love to help you out. Let's see. John Dumare, I hope I said that right, is asking, is there a way in the editor to automate the addition of my podcast title, intro music, as well as my outro image and music? Yes. So under that brand toolkit, you can choose to have an intro automatically applied. So here I can go to intro for 16 by 9. I can choose a clip that I've uploaded, or I can choose an edit from my Riverside Studio or audio, and I can have that intro added automatically when I click apply brand when I first jump here into the studio. And again, that magic episode that I mentioned before, you can actually have the brand applied automatically for the magic episode. So you can do that. For music, we don't have a way to automatically add background music here, but if you want to add music, just click the add music option here or open the music panel here on the right. We have a bunch of royalty-free tracks you can use or upload your own music track. And then I can click to add it, and here it is underneath our recording. I can adjust the volume to make sure you can still hear us over the music, adjust the fade in and fade out, and now I've added background music there. And real quick, before I answer some more questions, a couple of the other tools here. I can add animated captions, including saving my favorite style right here in Riverside. So now I have animated captions right here on my clip. If I wanted to make this a vertical clip, because this is going to be a reel or a TikTok, I can reformat it that quickly. Still has the animated captions on it. I can go back to a square or 16 by 9 format. And then we have overlay tools for images, videos, and text. So if I wanted to overlay video, I can search for royalty-free videos right here. So maybe I want to overlay a clip of an iPhone. Well, I can search for a video clip, make it full screen, and just like that, I now have video B-roll of a mobile device right here. And I did it all in the Riverside Editor. I can also upload video clips from my computer that I might want to use. And so I'll go to my uploads, go to videos, and here's a clip right here of like Steve Jobs that I wanted to use. Well, I can overlay that clip, and that quickly, now I have video B-roll of that as well. And so there's the clip that I just overlaid. So video overlays, image overlays are the same way, and those text overlays you can add as well. Now, if you wanted to create an intro with some text and music, you can create that intro here in Riverside, and then you can add the intro via the brand toolkit that I showed you before, or click the plus icon at the very beginning of your timeline, and here I can add a recording, I can add edits, or I can also add an empty section. I think there was just a question about this, but let's say you kind of wanted a title card at the beginning of your episode that showed maybe the title of the episode, played the background music, and then that music goes into the full episode. Well, I'm going to add an empty section to the beginning of my timeline here. I can drag my music to the very beginning as well, and now I have a blank slate here. I have the background image that applied during my brand, but I can add a text overlay. So maybe I'll put the episode title here. And again, I can customize this text. I can align it different ways. And then maybe I want to add a image overlay for this episode. Maybe we were talking about something specific. I uploaded this image previously, so I'll just drag that here. And now I have a sort of title card for my edit here. Has the background music playing beneath it. And as you preview it, you'll see that that background music will continue to play even as it goes from this title card into the full episode edit. Of course, you can clean that up, change the in and out points so the image overlays and all of that stop when the full episode begins. And John Damari, look at that. We're solving problems here in the live chat. Awesome. I'm looking at some other chat comments here. If you're a newbie, and I know I do go fast, and there was a lot of things we were talking about in this video. There's a walkthrough on our YouTube channel. I'll actually go to our YouTube channel here, and then I'll link the video. But if you go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/RiversideFM, highly recommend you visit there. Just watch all the videos, straight down. That'd be fine. But we have an 8-minute walkthrough where I go through recording, editing, repurposing, all in Riverside. And I will put this video link in the chat right now. So if you're new to Riverside, I would recommend checking that out, watching it. And you can watch that over and over again to get a handle on all the tools Riverside has to offer. All right, let me see what other questions we have here. Ignition Path Podcast was asking about transitions between scenes. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. That's all I could say. Natalia was asking, can you animate text? Yes, you can animate text in and out. So here, if I go back to the text animations, I can, let me go show that on screen here. Can you animate text? Yes. Click the text, click the little animation tool here, and I can choose fading it in and fading it out, choose different effect for each, how long each effect lasts. So yes, you can animate text in and out. Can you extend the length of the empty section? Yes, if I click in here, I can drag the empty section, make it longer or shorter. You can have that empty section be as long as you want. Someone said in the community that transitions are now available. Where is that? You will find transitions at the beginning and end of your timeline, like a fade or a wipe, but not in the middle just yet. So you'll see those transitions at the beginning and end. I think that's what they were talking about. What about ticker overlays? SciTalk is saying we don't have necessarily like ticker overlays that you might see like constant scrolling on screen, but you can use text, image, and video overlays and extend those the full length of your edit if you would like. Now, real quick, if you're new to Riverside, I would be remiss if I did not show you text-based editing here in the transcript. So when you record with Riverside, you get the full transcript right here in the editor. And if you want to edit something out, which I actually messed up a couple times here for this intro, I'm going to just select the text here in the transcript. I'll select it all the way to the top. And now I can just click the trash can, and I've edited my content. It's that simple. Just select text, click delete, and you're editing your video and audio. You can also search the transcript. So if you want to jump to a certain point to maybe pull a clip, or maybe there was something you know you needed to edit out, you can search for that search term. It'll go to it in the transcript, even here in the timeline. It'll show you a little context of all the places that search term was said, and then you can go ahead and edit that moment of the clip. So Tyson was saying, how do you add sound effects? Okay, so if you want to add sound effects to your edit, you would upload them here in the Uploads tab. You see you have audio uploaded here. You can upload sound effects as audio files from your computer, and then you can click any of these sound effects, and they'll play right here in the timeline. And then you can shorten this up. These can be very short, like a sound effect as well, and then those sound effects will play here in the edit. And you'll be able to preview it here as well. You'll hear it play while you're previewing here in the editor. So go to that Uploads tab and then upload your sound effects so you can play those here in the edit. Let's see. Looking. SciTalk was saying sometimes sharing screen audio doesn't work when editing. Is that a computer setting? Share screen audio, make sure it has to be a tab, not a window and not the entire screen. You have to be sharing a tab in your browser and make sure that the audio share is toggled on. That's in the studio. Okay, so Jason was asking, I have a specific segment where I want to create a clip. Do you recommend to capture just that moment, about a minute or so of the recording? I'm so glad you asked that question because now I can show you another pro tip here in the transcript. Let's say that I wanted to make a minute-long clip out of this section of my podcast. Well, I'm going to select that text here in the transcript, and there's a really cool tool here called Create New Edit. When I click that, it's actually going to take just the text I had selected, so that minute or so clip that you have that you want to make a clip out of, and it just made a new edit. Now, and you also saw that there's a little drawer here with all the edits and clips that you've made of this podcast. And so that text that I just had selected, it was about 46 seconds. And I'm going to go ahead and jump to that clip. And you'll see here, I can hide the deleted portion. So I'm going to hide that. Here was the 46 seconds that I had selected from the full edit. I'm going to quickly make this a 9:16. Animated captions are already there. Maybe I want to change the layout. Maybe I just want to show my co-host and myself, not really the screen share. Boom. Created the clip just that easily. Now, if I want to export this, I'll just go over to export the video. Could go up to 4K, and then that export will process for a few moments, and I can download that exported video from my dashboard. Now I'm going to bring that drawer down because my full episode edit that I was just working on, I can jump right back to that. from that drawer. I love that quick access drawer because this way you can make clips while you're editing your full-length episode by just selecting that text, clicking create new edit, and then you have all the little short clips plus your full-length episode, and you're doing all the stuff all at once. Everything everywhere all at once. Now, Courtney was asking, can you put captions only in one part of the video? Stay tuned, Courtney. We're working on that. But not right now. Let's see. Oh, Natalia was saying she managed to do that with Co-Creator last week. Awesome. All right. Any other questions about the editor, AI producer, anything here in Riverside? And now one other thing I'll show you. If you're doing your full episode, and let's go back up to that AI producer and let's say, all right, well, this is my full episode. I don't want that jumpy feeling. I want it to be a slower pace. I'm going to keep my remove pauses here. And for remove filler words, I'm going to leave it on mute, not cut, because I don't want that much cutting for different filler words. So I'll leave it as these settings. I'm going to go to export a 4K version of this, and I'm going to export. And now a menu is going to pop up, and this is going to save you a ton of time. Rather than going straight to your exports, I'm going to choose keep editing, because that's going to preserve all the edits, all the cuts, the AI producer tools that I've applied, my layout, everything is saved. So I have the exact same edit, any audio that I added, that intro that we created, everything is still here. And now I'm going to go back up to that AI producer, and I want this to be fast-paced, remove all pauses. And for filler words, now I want it to cut, because I can take the same edit, go back up to export, and then go over to audio and export an MP3. So now my video version won't be jumpy. It'll just mute those filler words. It's a slower pace. But my audio version, I've cut out silences, and it will cut those filler words, because my audio listeners, you don't have to worry about jumpy video, because this is going to be going to my audio-only podcast. And then I can export the audio-only version. So one right after another. I did the video, changed a couple settings, did the audio, and now I can go to my exports. And once they're done processing, I can download these to publish on my podcast and on my YouTube channel. So that's another quick tip on maybe changing those settings and creating two slightly different versions. Let me go back into the editor, though, because I see some other questions here. I'm going to go back to my projects. Let me go back to the last episode. I'll go over to edits, which is where we were before. And let me jump back into this edit. And one of the questions was, how do I create a lower third, and can we use it on a live stream? So the lower thirds was using that text tool in the studio. That's what I was doing earlier. And so in the recording, just go back to where I go over the studio tools, and I show you how to create those lower thirds. Let's see. Black Note Studios was asking, does Co-Creator work on all projects or only one at a time? Can I make a highlight reel from all projects? Right now, I believe it's just one project at a time. But you can move pieces of media from project to project and then actually ask Co-Creator to do stuff after that. So pro tip there. Let's see. How do we create, can you edit captions? I need to correct the spelling of a name. Absolutely. So here we are. And let's say I needed to correct a spelling on a name. Let's say I'm going to correct my name. It's actually spelled correctly here. Riverside got it right. But if you need to correct the transcript, just double click on that word, change the spelling, and then I can correct it once here, or I can correct it everywhere, and then it will change that word spelling throughout the entire transcript. So let's say, let me go down to a word here, and let's say it was Zuckerberg. It is actually spelled correctly here as well, but if I did Zuckerberg, maybe add an E on the end, I can click correct everywhere. Now it's going to correct that name spelling throughout the entire recording, throughout the entire transcript. So yes, you can edit the captions. And then when you edit in that transcript, it will affect the transcript, as the captions. As you can see here, Zuckerberg is now spelled with an E in the preview there in the captions. Let's see. Chris is asking, can we animate fade in and fade out with B-roll? Not yet. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Can we fade in pictures? Not yet. Stay tuned. Let's see. Tom Baker, still learning the nuances. I know there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of tools. New tools are being launched all the time. But get subscribed to the Riverside YouTube channel, where I'm going to show you how to use everything. Lots of videos there. Also, another great video to watch on the channel. This was a pretty recent video, the 10 advanced podcast editing tools in Riverside. I'm not going to get a chance to actually go over all of these tools, but I'll put a link to this video in the chat right now, because in that video, I go over things like EQ. We actually have a graphical EQ that you can apply to everyone's track individually. You see right here, we have EQ settings, and then you can actually add your own frequency and decibel adjustments. So if you want to get real granular on the EQ settings, you can do that in Riverside. You can also adjust or edit the separate tracks. I can expand the tracks here in Riverside. I see the separate audio tracks for me and any remote guests. And you'll see the smart mute, all the sections that are muted. Now I can granularly go in and adjust that as well. So many advanced tools. That last link I put in the chat was about the all those advanced tools in Riverside. Highly recommend checking that out. Did you talk about leveling out the audio, making sure people are level? Robert asking about leveling audio. Again, that's one of the advanced techniques. I would watch that video I just put in the chat. But you can also go in and adjust the volume per person manually here, or you can, on export, ask Riverside to normalize audio levels, and Riverside will do its best to make everybody the same volume. So you can manually adjust it or use normalize. Can you share the translate options? How do we use that? Absolutely. Let me go back up to the dashboard here. And if you have a clip, now translate only works on clips of a certain length. You can't do a full hour-long podcast. But if you have a clip here, let me find one. Like, let's see. Maybe this right here. Let me go back to my recordings. Here you can create an AI translate. You can select, okay, it has to be less than an hour. So you can do it on a lot of, recordings less than an hour, you can translate, but you would, on your project page, go up to create, go to AI translate, and then you can actually lip sync yourself using AI and translate into 30 plus different languages. It's pretty wild. I've done it to myself several times. What tips do you have for interviewing guests sharing one laptop? That's a tough one. Ideally, not share a laptop, but have someone set up their phone or an iPad using the Riverside app, and at least have one of the guests using that, so they're not sharing a laptop. Because then you can at least have a separate camera per person and a separate microphone per person, which will help you in the editing process. Can we publish to all streaming platforms through Riverside, or do you need to export? So if you want to publish, I'm not sure what you mean, Byron. If you're wanting to live stream, you can do that in the studio. But if you're wanting to publish, you can one-click publish to Spotify, Transistor, Castos. But if you wanted to, say, send it to YouTube, download the video, upload it to your YouTube channel. But we have some exciting news and tools about that coming soon, so stay tuned. All plans have EQ. I'm not sure, John, about if all plans have EQ. Log into your account, go to the editor, and check it out there. I just don't know off the top of my head. All right, any other questions that I didn't get to? We're nearing the end of the webinar, but this was awesome, and so would love to be able to answer any last-minute ones. Let's see. New to Riverside, having troubles trying to record guest session. Recording stopped and guests can't join again. How can I secure my sessions when live? There can be so many factors that go into a guest having trouble with the recording. Make sure if they're on a laptop that the laptop is plugged into power. If they're on Wi-Fi, try to get them to get as close to the Wi-Fi router as possible. Try to plug in Ethernet when possible. And also double check their bandwidth speeds, because if they have like less than 10 megabits down or up, that could be difficult to record with. So a lot of factors going into that. There are videos on the YouTube channel where I literally talk about helping guests with their recording process. So again, check out our YouTube channel. I'll put a link there. If you're watching on Riverside, you can click that link right now on the screen. How can I host a webinar like this? You can do it with Riverside, Natalia. You can host webinars, and I actually have an entire video on the YouTube channel specifically about hosting webinars. Let me see. It is right. I'll get the link for you. It's actually a 30-minute walkthrough, so it's pretty substantial. But if you want to learn about all the tips and tricks for hosting a webinar on Riverside, I just put that link in the chat, and you can watch my video there where I walk through all the tools specifically for doing webinars. Can I send my recording to someone else to edit? That's a great question. Stephen or Stefan. I'm not sure. I say mine Stefan, but we spell it the same. Or I say my name's Stephen. Anyway, if you wanted to share a recording with someone, here on your projects page, you can share right up here next to the create button, copy that link, and someone else can have access to the files to edit if you would like to do that. Irani was asking, how is the privacy of using Riverside? Your content is your content. And so when you record with Riverside, we don't do anything with it. It is safe and secure in your account. And if there's ever AI tools like AI Translate that you want to use in Riverside, we let you know that we're using your recording specifically for that, but that is all. And so it's private and secure. You talked about pausing uploading. Why would we do this? That's a great question, Robert. So real quick, again, any last minute questions, leave them in here. We're nearing the end of the webinar. If you were doing a live stream through Riverside, sometimes with people with slower bandwidth, the live call quality will drop because Riverside is prioritizing smoothness of the call, but it's also uploading your video and audio at the same time. So if you want the highest quality live stream, I would go to your studio settings, go to recording, advanced, and under the advanced tab, you'll see host and producers can pause uploads. Toggle that on, and then once you start recording, under each person, you'll see a pause upload button. And pausing the upload means that their entire bandwidth will be dedicated to making sure the live video and audio is the best quality it can be. And then once you end the recording and live stream, then their full video and audio will be uploaded, and then you'll get the full quality version then. So you would pause uploads to get the highest quality live broadcast as possible. Let's see. I don't see any other questions that I could answer right now, but thank you all so much for joining. So a couple quick plugs. If you have not joined our community, we have an amazing community on Facebook. I believe it's over 20,000 creators, podcasters, video creators. I'm in there. Kendall, our community manager, is in there as well. We would love to have you join the community. Let us know what you're working on. And if you have questions about podcasting, growing your YouTube channel, whatever it may be, lots of helpful people in there. And we would love to hear from you. So join the community. Don't forget, you can find the recording for this webinar and our past webinars on the Riverside webinars page. You can click there and watch it. And recording will also be sent to you for this webinar as well. And finally, you'll find lots of my videos on YouTube. And so subscribe to the Riverside YouTube channel for walkthroughs of new features, how to use the platform, how to grow your YouTube channel, how to monetize your podcast. All of that we cover on YouTube. And Irani was asking, where's the community hub? It's on Facebook, and you can also find a link to it on our website. Thank you all so much for awesome engagement in the chat and for all the amazing questions. I hope this was helpful for you. Again, we can answer more questions. Walkthroughs, the videos on YouTube, I think should help you a lot. You'll get a recording of this webinar as well. And tune in for future webinars. And we do these monthly demos every month. So if you want a refresher or just see the latest features and a walkthrough live where you can ask questions, tune in next month and we'll be here again helping you out. So thank you once again for joining. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening around the world. And we'll catch you next time.